Evening, everyone. Hopefully we have a few less technical issues than last week, which was an absolute nightmare. But welcome to another weekly live stream at Hack Engineering headquarters.
We're back in the engine room again, as we have been for so long. Maybe when the weather warms up, we'll actually sit somewhere else in Hack HQ that's not like warm in here, because there's a heater where there isn't anywhere else. So this is the favoured choice by me for definitely until spring and sprung.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to start off by cleaning that.
Oh, look at that. While you watch, Ben is cleaning. Oh, look, night and day. So we thought we'd turn the camera on with this little gadget above it. Like
Turns out.
Yeah, you just smeared your thumb straight across the lens when we turned it on. But hopefully everything's a little bit clearer for you at home right now. Of course, if you are watching, got any questions, whether they're car related, engine related, or history of Hack Engineering related, get them in the comments box.
If you'd just like to know what's going on with Alex's hair, go for it.
I tried sorting it, but it's just, what is going on with my hair?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, feel free to get the questions in. The more you ask, the more entertaining it is for us, and hopefully you at home as well. So,
a couple of little questions we've already had in through Instagram and Facebook or whatnot, so we're far away with them to start, I'd say. Gamer Dummy has asked, I have a 2014 Z4. How much would it cost me to do it turbo, please? With answer, plus/minus.
It'll be plus or minus infinity. Anything from what are we going to start at? 2-3 grand up to 100. I mean, don't know what engine it is. Don't know anything about it.
Asking for quotes on social media. Let's talk about that then, because if you want a quote, get an email over. Be really specific with what you want, and or give us a call, and then we can sort of. But the ideal thing is an email listed with what you want, because there's nothing worse than quoting for something that the customer doesn't really know what they want. Yeah,
give us some goalposts, and we'll do our best to.
Yeah, because we get it pretty often. Oh, how much for this? How much for that? Oh, I've got this. I want that doing. So that's quite a big old project. It's quite a one-off specific thing. We don't really have just a ballpark. Well, we don't even have a ballpark. We don't have a figure sat there for that particular job.
I think a tax folder. I'd say as well, we quite often get asked if we can quote something out of interest, and it'll be something really specific, like a full engine build. And we're always happy to quote, but if we've got a goalpost like a budget or whatever, then it really helps. And do just bear with us. It takes a long time to quote some of these things.
A lot, many hours a day to spend that. So just thinking, I wonder how much, just because you lie awake at night wondering. There is time and effort goes into that. So. Yeah, I understand there's not going to be a return on every quote we make, but
and we try and make the quotes as accurate as possible, which does take time. But
which also I feel a lot of companies don't. They'll just go, well, it's that much, and
it could be 2 grand, then it turns into 10 grand.
Yeah, a job comes in, and they'll carry on doing it, and they won't tell you actually that it's going to cost far more until they hit you with a hefty bill at the end of it. So
we tend to quote right down to every bolt, washer, the lot. So. Do bear with us. It does take time, but it's for your benefit.
If you are watching, of course, I would quite like to know where you're watching from and the colour of the walls in the room. Yeah, because we're in a white room. I mean, what's interior design doing during COVID, Ben? That's what I want to know.
And do you have a feature wall? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Are we talking wallpaper or paint?
The more we know, the better.
Yeah, it's very crucial information for some new products we're bringing out.
And do also give us a like if you are enjoying these weekly sessions.
All helps.
We enjoy doing them, but we don't do them for the sake of it. we kind of do it to give you guys an insight. So if you're enjoying it, let us know about it.
Why are they just so flat? It's like
if you run into a wall.
Bingo.
Nice, stylish.
Should we go on to another question? Running in procedures on camshafts. Is there a running in procedure for OE S54 camshafts? Haven't found any information to say there is, and Assume that manufacturing had improved in the last decade and a start and hold it above 2K for 20 minutes running procedure is no longer applied.
If they're a brand new set of cams, brand new followers, everything, then technology hasn't really moved on that far.
Yeah.
You've still got that bedding procedure, which is pretty critical to get right. Where it will vary is if you have, say, Schrick followers or Schrick cams, where they'll have like DLC coating or other treatments done to them for sort of hardening or friction reduction. That may change things. But in general, the same thing still applies.
Well worth giving them a little bedding.
Dave Horan, cream walls.
I had him more as like a magnolia wall sort of man.
Estoril blue feature wall.
Estoril blue feature wall, yeah.
Yeah.
Has he got a massive roofer sticker right the way down the side of the room?
Maybe. Dave's car is a E36 M3 that's actually sat pretty much behind this wall at the moment, which is Estoril blue and mega bit of kit.
Yeah,
of that thing. And the engine is right behind me, which is in progress. So actually, Dave did ask a question for this week as well.
He did. Expected power on S50 B32, high compression, Schrick 296s, etc. Laughy face.
Then I'll come out and print too well.
No, it's pretty pixelated. That laughy face.
It's always so difficult to say. Obviously, we've got our hopes. It's always difficult for us. We've got our little hopes. Actually, we did have a little sweepstake, Dave, that we need to actually sort out.
Yeah.
I haven't put my vote in yet, but I do have it in my head.
I reckon a donut sweepstake.
It's breakfast at Snetterton.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Problem is, which actually we've got another question relating to it. It always depends so much on the dyno, and without knowing the dyno, it's going on.
Yeah.
But we've got our hopes. It's going to be good. It's going to be good in that.
Dyno's a great everything. Look, once it's running, Dave gets in it, goes around Snetterton and goes, Jesus. That's quick.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Let's hope.
It's quick as it was.
I'd rather see a big old smile on Dave's face.
Yeah.
Than a paper with a number on it.
I'd say that's what it's all about. Don't know. I'm quite intrigued to see. There's a few little tricks and touches that have gone into that. I say a few, literally top to bottom, but it should be really interesting to see what it actually relates to on a given dyno.
Yeah, pretty excited. Waiting on the last few bits to come in, and we can get that built up and back in the car.
Out on the tracks pronto. Yeah.
Right, next question. MRF Automotive watches pretty much every week. He's got a genuine question. Could you talk about the upgrades you offer for cylinder heads, like stainless/titanium valves or uprated springs, or things like Schrick camshafts? So obviously we just mentioned sort of running procedures on Schricks. Obviously it depends on the type of head, what the make is. In the machine shop, we'll pretty much carry out work on everything from diesel tractors to high performance M-Power engines. So
I think you had some N47 valves.
Tiny.
From a Mini 1.6 diesel, and the valves are tiny.
I'm going to grab them. You carry on talking.
And it's funny as well because then we range all the way up to a big valve M10 head or something like that, where the valves are pretty massive, or some of the diesel tractor bits, the heads are just massive, so they've got so much room for a huge valve, whereas a modern flat-headed diesel with 4 valves per cylinder, the valves are teeny tiny. So we do see everything. In terms of upgrades, I think there's a lot that gets, or a lot of fuss around having uprated valves, bits like that, and really there's a hell of a lot more to cylinder heads than just the parts that are in them. Same with the whole engine build. If you've got that geometry between the valve guide and the right clearance on the valve guide, relating to the seat, a good seat cut, you can actually probably gain more with that than you can with the parts that are in it. I mean, high revving stuff has titanium valves and whatnot, but it always has its drawbacks as well. Titanium tends to stretch over time, which is why we don't really like seeing it used as fasteners generally. But it's all sorts. BMW do tend to, they make a nice engine like the S50. The bits are nice. Just bringing them back into their full sort of health is almost more important than spending out a load of money on fancy valves or springs or cams. Obviously, when it comes to what you can do, sky's the limit. You could do anything.
So valves. Basically, just a comparison, Ben, because they're so funny. N47. Obviously, people might have heard that engine around a bit. Pretty common for timing chain failures. Sure enough, this is what this one had done. Bent the exhaust valve, so we got some new valves in. There is our exhaust valve. Obviously, you can't really get much for scale there, so let's put it next to an S50B32 exhaust valve. Or I could stage it and make it look really small. There you go, that's about them level. So as we can see, hell of a lot smaller. So it's quite cool to have like varying stuff in to see all the different components. Also far shorter in length, sort of due to the valve train design on it. But yeah, pretty cool to have small stuff like that and bigger bits, and occasionally we get big tractor stuff in with huge valve stems
and the S54 exhaust valve. Is that was? I missed that.
That's an S50B32 exhaust valve.
But you'll find quite often OE valves, although they're mass produced, they'll be sodium filled and stuff like that, which reduces weight, helps pull the heat out of the sort of the valve head.
Yeah, I mean, let's compare like S54 exhaust valves. I think there's like a 3.5 gram saving per valve on OE stuff. Pretty cool. Inlet valves obviously a lot larger. If you go to like a Supertech aftermarket Supertech valve, but yeah, on exhaust stuff, OE stuff is a bit lighter, and reducing that sort of valve train weight is quite important, especially if you go for high revs. So. Yeah,
and there is also so much to even seat cut. You can use the seats to draw the heat out of the valve and things like that. If that's not right, no valve is going to be outperforming anything else. It's very much false economy. So that is why cylinder heads get expensive.
Especially when you've got sort of 24 valves going on. That's 24 processes, whether it's 24 guides you've got to put in. Bearing in mind, obviously, you've got to fit 24 guides, then you've got to hone 24 guides, then you've got to cut the seats for 24 seats. Probably going to refit, it's what we're looking at 24 times fitting the guide, 24 times honing the guide, 24 seats to cut, 24 valves to grind. So 96 processes in a 24 valve head. And then you've got to assemble the whole lot as well. And we've got
and measure it and check it.
Measure it and check it.
And make sure each one's the same as the next as well.
It's a lot going on. So prices can climb up, especially on bigger multi-valve.
I think quite often we get asked about another favourite term of mine, like a built head stuff with valve springs and whatnot. And what people don't realise is you don't just put a valve in and hope that it sits on the seat okay.
There's a lot of measuring and checking everything's going to work properly together. So.
And most likely with an engine that's done some mileage, it's probably going to need a bit of work. Probably exhaust valve guides.
So in terms of guide work, obviously S50s are reasonably bad for exhaust valves. M50s pretty bad for exhaust valve guide wear. S54s don't really suffer from it, so we're pretty lucky there in that. We do a lot of head gasket jobs here. Obviously, the heads get fully stripped and checked, and guide wear on them isn't really an issue. So they use a sintered steel guide as opposed to sort of a bronze or a bronze alloy guide, as a lot of aftermarket stuff or M50 S50s did from factory. So,
which is quite interesting because bronze is generally considered the performance guide. And S54 BMW obviously foresaw potential guide wear issues with the revs of that engine and whatnot. Decided to
it's paid off in the long run. Those engines have enough problems. Guide wear was added to the old list of things to watch out for, and just become never ending.
But yeah. Jen Lester, do you have an opinion on which BMW/BMW engine is the most reliable? Christ. My vote engine-wise would be probably M52. Unless they overheat, you can't really kill those things. My own one in the touring, which someone will probably ask about at some point, was on, I think, just shy of 150,000 miles, having done 70,000 miles with me thrashing it on track on the road. You name it. Regular oil changes and literally nothing went wrong with it. Didn't have a single oil leak. Bang on. But yeah, what's your opinion?
The M72.
Really?
Yeah. No, I don't know the most. I mean, I've never really done enough miles in one to actually sort of see reliability. I mean, it depends how you look after them, really.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the S54s, people could slate them, but actually, if you look after them, treat them how they want to be treated, they'll be reliable. They're pretty well designed.
Yeah.
Anyway. Depends what you mean as reliability. If reliability is, buy the car new off the forecourt, drive 150,000 miles, and take it in for the first service, then yeah, you might get slightly different results.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the problem as well with, there's kind of it all starts with E46 really. There's certain targets or, running cost statistics that look great if you can leave a car 15,000 miles between servicing, but actually that's not good for the engine in the long run. It looks good on paper, but 5 years down the line or whatever, you're facing issues that could have been avoided with regular oil changes and the right
treatment. I think of all the independent BMW specialists that probably wouldn't be around if BMW just recommended less mileage in between services.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, bearing issues, things like that, that are becoming more and more common almost the newer the cars get, with exceptions and some more than others. But it's just because they keep stretching out those service intervals, and it doesn't do them any good.
Yeah, exactly. You're sure to enjoy it.
Yeah.
As with any car, not even BMW specific stuff, the longer you try and get out of your oil, there's going to be drawbacks to that.
Yeah.
As you say, it's all down to sort of cost statistics from the manufacturers.
Yeah, and there are these sort of long life oils and things now, which I suspect for most stuff, which not really a fan. I mean, why skimp on servicing it if it's a car that you love and you want to get the most from it? Then use decent oil more regularly, changing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't go wrong.
Definitely agree with that one. Best upgrades for an S54 to be reliable for track
maintenance.
Preventative maintenance. Make sure your engine is in just a healthy way.
Yeah.
Head gasket depends on sort of it doesn't really depend on the mileage. If you're planning on using it hard, I'd sort of plan to BM bearings, head gasket, and Vanos. In terms of upgrades, I mean, if you're looking at reliability, then I'd just leave it alone.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, and you could think about DLC followers and improved bearings and ARP hardware. Actually, I would say that's one thing.
Yeah,
head bolts.
Yeah, head bolts. See that a lot, don't we? Sort of head bolt stretch, breakaway torques on sort of outer head bolts when we're doing a head gasket job and whatnot. Well, they just get less and less the further away from the middle you go, and they really do stretch, and that doesn't help with head gasket failure at all.
No, so we literally by default use ARP head studs. Once they're tight, They don't lose. They don't become elastic like a stretch bolt, where it just basically loses clamping force over time.
Yeah.
Also, what compression is acceptable for that engine?
Few variables again.
Yeah.
What fuel are you going to be running in it? Where are you running it?
What cams are you running? It's also, again, we touched on this last week. If you're gaining that compression just by skimming the head right down or skimming the block, you're actually affecting elements that aren't just as simple as compression. So you've got squish and bits, which aren't going to do much good. And also just making sure it's mapped to that compression, no matter what the sort of other variables are.
Stock.
That'd be standard compression then.
Yeah. 11.3.
Yeah. 11.7.
11.7.
I mean, if it's stock, you can get away with a decent head skim within reason. I mean, I'm not talking skimming it to bring it down. I'm just talking skimming it to bring it back to sort of flat. There is a little bit of meat on there that is sacrificial potentially, but really you just want to leave it.
Yeah. If you want to up your compression, really, you want to be looking at piston design, because that's where sort of the maths and science has actually gone into it, and what's it going to do to the sort of combustion paths.
Yeah.
As opposed to just upping the compression by losing volume.
Yeah. And BMW did the homework with everything they do within reason. But it's one of those things where it works really well as it is. So within reason, leave it alone, unless you really are sort of pushing the boundaries in other ways. But yeah, I've got a few people joining in, which is good. Dom, our friend Dom.
What a hero! Let's talk about Dom. Let's just do a 5 minute segment on Dom. Who's Dom?
So Dom is. He used to be local. He's moved away a little bit now. He's not too far away.
He moved away and broke Ben's heart.
Yeah, he broke my heart. He left me.
He left you all alone.
He did. So yeah, Dom. I actually know Dom because Dom's brother builds differentials for E30s and bits. He's quite well known on the forums, I should say, like E30 Zone and stuff. And I had some bits for Dom's brother. Dom was local, so I dropped him off to Dom to take to his brother and got chatting. Dom had an E46 M3, but he's also had quite a few E36s. He loves old Volvos.
Of course, Dom's tag there is Freedom 875cc.
Yeah.
So what is that 875cc in relation?
875cc is the
pink beauty.
It's the CC of a Hillman Imp. So Dom, I think he had on his first car, and is that now, or that might now be the one he's got. It was green when he had it first time, and he sold it, and now it's pink, and it's his again. But yeah, Dom just loves cool stuff that we love. Much as we love the latest high power things, we just love old. Should I say rubbish? old stuff.
Rusty French.
Yeah, or Scottish, or Swedish, or Dom's basically a legend.
Yeah, he's a bit of a hero.
But he
kettle's always on for Dom.
Yeah, and his E46 M3 were really
old rusty nuggets.
Old rusty nuggets,
that's the one.
Dom's E46 M3 was quite a nice one. We helped out with a load of bits and bobs. I think Dom was really one of the first customers, if I'm thinking back correctly. Well, certainly for various sort of lines of products. So decent bloke.
Yeah,
I think that's our 5 minutes on Dom.
5 minutes on Dom.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for Dom, the life story. Next question. This is one that's been sent on Instagram as well, but I see he's also just commented. So, hi guys, what's the best way to get the most horsepower out of the S54 before going the supercharged route? Honing out for bigger balls? ? Big pistons. Any advice? Ryan from Capricorn. So we actually went up to Capricorn, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Probably like 2 years ago now.
Oh yeah, I think it was just before Ryan started there, from memory, because I think I remember him saying that he just got a job there, having seen that we'd been there, but. That's another question that is a bit about how long is a piece of string, which is a very interesting piece of string. But
I almost feel, I don't know, I break it down into two categories, and it's like, it's not a power thing. It's like you either want an NA S54 and you appreciate it for what it is, or you want a lot higher power and then it's just supercharged. If
it's the power you're after,
then you're not going to get anywhere close. You're going to be really disappointed, and you're going to spend loads of money, and you're probably only going to see 10% overall gains, really, unless you go,
go all in.
And even then, 20% tops.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it is difficult. I think there's, it's always there. I mean, you've mentioned. Boring it out, which, to be honest, you've only got 0.5 mil that you've you can go with those, and the gains are nothing, if not negligible. It's really when we go 0.5 mil over bore, which are sort of S54 B33 builds are. It's generally more from a repair point of view.
Yeah, the bores have generally had a bit of a hard life. They're oval, little wear step at the top, so it's more a case of they need reboring because the engine needs to be good, and that's what you're gonna have to do. It's not so much like a performance upgrade. It's like, I want big power, I'll rebore it. It's like, no, the bores are worn, they need reboring.
Yeah.
So it depends what you actually want. If you want big power, go supercharged route. And then you're going to want to do it properly.
It has some big drawbacks as well. Yeah, it's.
If you want a fast car, keep the E46 M3 reasonably nice and standard. Buy another car.
Yeah, potentially, or be willing to spend quite a bit of money on it.
Yeah.
And not be disappointed as such, but just it's the internet's full of 400 horsepower S54s that got cams and an airbox and an exhaust on them, and that's complete rubbish.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
It always depends on the dyno, as we were saying right at the start, and we'll be visiting again. And it depends as well. I mean, you could build a race engine that will be over 400 horsepower and truly over 400 horsepower, not just made up figures. And congratulations, you've achieved that. Very interesting, but it's then going to have quite a service schedule to it and quite a bit of maintenance cost to keep it going, because you're pushing each and every of those components to the absolute limit of what they can do.
Yeah, definitely.
It's all just a compromise. You've got, as we've said before, you've got cost, you've got performance, and you've got reliability, and you can't have all three.
No. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, you've got to decide where you want to sit on that and plan from there. So we're always happy to do that with you, but do be aware that a proper NA engine build is going to add up, and also that it's not just a case of having a shopping list of bits and buying them and fitting them. It's building that engine properly, blueprinting everything, going to the absolute nth degree in terms of measuring things and balancing things.
Yeah, that's it.
Otherwise it won't work.
Yeah.
In short.
Have you guys done much work on the B58 engine at all? As I see you do a lot of work at the S55 motors at the moment. We've seen one or two, but haven't had loads of them in.
No.
Too involved in them.
I'm quite keen to in some ways. What I would say is they're amazing because you can bolt a hybrid turbo onto them and make a load of power. And
it's design
all you need.
They're pretty cool.
And they are an interesting design, but we tend to get so much more involved with projects that we don't do so much with the kind of bolt the turbo on and map it and go. We'll develop a far more thorough package, which for the B58 so far doesn't seem to be a particularly necessary package. They're almost too easy.
It's just cheating, Ben. I won't have it. I won't have it. I want to work hard for my horsepower.
Yeah.
Of course, you just mentioned collapsing oil filters. Fair few photos floating around at the moment of people just experiencing BMW filters disintegrating. Yeah,
I'd like to have a few more to take apart really and see.
And actually see why it's doing that.
Yeah, who knows? But I'm sure someone does. But not us at the moment. No, we in all honesty as well, we're so busy with all the other work we have in, whether it's S55, S54, S65, you name it. B58s will be looked into at some point. We have got one here that we've pulled partially apart to have a look through, and they are interesting.
Yeah, quite a few different things. Chain at the back, obviously, which I haven't really seen before.
Steering away from a split crankcase as well.
Sort of going back. It's actually quite a different engine. A couple of different variants as well, between the early ones and the late ones. It's got a head design as well, which is quite cool to see sort of what they tried, and obviously
what hasn't worked.
Gone back to different designs. So there's definitely been some. They've been scratching their heads about it at BMW, and they put quite a lot of things into it.
I would love to do
a few new things.
A massive power B58 and really develop with it, but they make plenty of power so easily that there's just not really much call for it. We've mapped a couple things like that with 3 boot mod, and they sound great. They go really well. They seem pretty reliable. So yeah, fans of the engine, but we haven't really done a hell of a lot with it as yet. I'm sure the time will come.
Definitely.
But that's us for the minute.
Yeah, we've only got to get a couple in and they'll come flooding through the door.
Yeah, I think people don't realise is we're willing and capable to turn our hands to all sorts of engines and things, but the reason we might not be able to get you in next week to do something is because we are very well known for what we do already, and that keeps us really busy. So if we can't jump to developing some sort of part or building an engine within the space of a couple of days, it's because we're actually booked up till mid.
Yeah, exactly. The calendar is absolutely chock full.
Yeah.
To the point where we've even got cancellation lists, but no one seems to be cancelling. No. The work's still coming in. So
yeah, it's good. It keeps us busy, but unfortunately, we do get people who are desperate, and that's we don't hang around. But the fast turnaround while you wait stuff isn't not our bag.
Nothing pains me more than doing a job, customers waiting, and the car has to get out the door because the customer's waiting, and you can't finish it off. You can't order that panel screw in from BMW. You can't go, that would just be nice if that was replaced. You can't do that. And then you just have to send work out the door that's sort of substandard. So we just stay away from it, don't we?
Yeah.
We can have the car in overnight. We can pull it apart. Go, okay, yeah, it'll be nice if that was done. That's missing. It's only little bits. It's like nothing gets me more than a car coming in with wood screws holding panels on underneath.
We see it plenty as well.
Cable ties holding on like under trays and stuff like that. It's like, no, just take your time. I mean, we stock enough stuff as it is, but we can't stock every part for every car.
We don't carry every single screw clip and little panel. It's
and they are all different on BMW, even to the point where you get a little 6mm panel screw that comes in 8 different lengths with 9 different diameter of built-in washer in it. So there's a whole area going on there.
Yeah. Another question from Luke. What would be the most horsepower you would run safely race car on an NAS 54?
I'm gonna say 410 horsepower then.
Yeah,
because I don't know what spec the engine is, and I don't know what.
It all depends on how the engine's been built, what components are in it.
If it's a standard car.
Yeah, and even if it's an engine that has had some nice components in the bottom end but not been balanced properly, or has
sitting at higher RPMs, it's probably
or has got worn valve guides that might seem alright, and there's so many variables. I mean, in theory, if an engine was developed properly and built properly and had the right components, you could run 500 horsepower if you get out of it. It's safety isn't the limit as such. It's all to do with what works with what. And when you're in a strength, although it is a huge part of it, actually it's more about what you can make, not what will safely make as such. Whereas in a turbo, you'd limit your boost because the internals can't handle it.
That's sort of your maximum.
Yeah, if it's built right, it'll handle whatever you can make out of it, really.
A little comment from Steve. Obviously, Steve's engine is hiding behind the bench behind me. He's got some new cams coming on the way for that, he said. So nice. We can pretty much get that buttoned up next week. I think Steve's going to pop down with a couple of other parts that he's wanting to get fitted up to the engine. So it'd be good to get them in and see Steve next week.
Kettle on time.
Kettle on.
Actually, we put a photo of Steve's engine up a couple of days ago. So it's let me get my quotation marks out. A fully forged.
Just do it again.
Fully forged.
There's more like tank.
M50 B28. So it's a M50 iron block with 2.8 crank, and then SP rods and Wiseco pistons.
Yeah, Wiseco pistons. Nice little combo.
Another thing, a head gasket, ALP hardware, kind of just nice. Going to be turboed and running a track car, which would be really cool. I think so many turbo M50 builds are road cars and they work okay, but to develop something a little bit more properly for the track is that's what
gets me interested. Fault guy in it to actually get some decent flow out of it and some nicely designed headers as good as you can do on them. Obviously with the angle of the engine they're seeing, they're not the easiest engine to go and bolt a whirly boy on the side, but
it'd be very interesting, and that engine is going to be a cracker. So hopefully with the rest of the setup working well.
Be good to see how it's done.
Something we should touch on really is we're so often asked, a forged M50 3-litre 2.8, whatever it might be, how much power is it capable of holding? And that is so open to interpretation. You could, if you had a bad manifold on there, like a log manifold that wasn't working properly with all 6 cylinders, and causing uneven back pressure and issues like that, then you could blow it up at 350 horsepower if you really wanted to, if it's bad enough. Or with the right manifold, intake and exhaust and everything working properly, you could probably run 700 horsepower. Whatever. There's such a big scope for the setup around the engine as well as the engine itself. So next time you think of asking, be prepared for an answer that might not shoot you down, but there's just too much to it to really have a straightforward answer, as with so much of what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, another question. Oh, we have asked all those questions.
Yeah, we're done on them. Of course, if you want
let's move on to the next bit.
There's a couple more from the Twitter sphere.
The Twitter sphere?
Yeah, that's technical. Ducati Racer. Ducati Racer, tell us more about your Ducati Racer.
Yeah.
How many years have you boys been trading? Your knowledge is amazing.
So Hack Engineering started in 2014, I believe, November 2014.
7 years old.
Yeah. So actually, it sort of unofficially started a year and a bit before that. But as a proper full-time business company, whatever you'd want to call it, November 2014 it all kicked off. But I think both of us, it's the knowledge before that powers what we do here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you get very far in just going in and setting up a business if you didn't know a load of stuff already.
Yeah.
Every day's a school day, we're always learning. But it's all the stuff that goes before us, all the years in industry, sort of doing stuff that's not as BMW specific, then we can transfer that knowledge across. And it's also, when we get new people on the team, sort of finding people that have maybe hold a bit of knowledge of the stuff we don't know about, so getting them in and sort of we can all learn upon each other and hopefully transfer development works of other engines into stuff we're doing in house. Sort of further the end product that we can give, really.
I think we're quite lucky as well that because of our experience previously, we've worked with people who have designed engines for all sorts of race programs from historic racing. I should say as well, designed and developed and built, and not just a CAD drawing. This is stuff that's been watched all the way through to dyno runs and power gains. And we've come from some really good and interesting places to be where we are. And Hack Engineering was started essentially because I was getting annoyed at people who say exactly what we've been through, sell you some fancy valves, but they don't actually know what's involved in making them work or why they're better, or essentially they're reading off a sheet of paper, and that to me was extremely frustrating to not just be able to get the answers I wanted to build my own car, my own engines, whatever. So decided I could do better, and here we are doing our best. But hopefully we can kind of prove that we are different because of stuff like this. We're always happy to chat about what we know. And
I think we always ask the question why.
Yeah,
you get something in where it's a product, an engine gets dropped off, something's let go, something's blown up, a head gasket's gone on an old Peugeot or something. We always come together and we just go, right, why has that happened?
Yeah.
Or what could be better? Or how can that be improved? Or if we built that again? Or if, anything we do, we're always asking why, even to a new product.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, the designer of this product's done that, but why?
Yeah, and I think so many companies would see a product, they'll see a nice juicy markup maybe, be like, well, I'll sell that because that's better, when actually we'd look at something that we want to sell because we understand it and because we believe it's the best.
Yeah.
And to be honest, quite often screw the margin.
Yeah, I mean, we've had products come and go, haven't we?
Ooh, that was a close one.
That sort of come in, we go, yeah, product looks good, and then we get the first ones in, and we have a look over them, and we go, well,
no, can't.
It's not. There's no point.
Although it's not our product, it's having our name next to it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're the ones that will, you know, be talking to the customers after they fitted it and had a terrible experience.
Yeah.
Which, even as you say, it's not our fault. It still relates back
to
the company. So
I think we're both too proud.
Yeah, product selection is pretty important.
Yeah, I think as well. It's good. We've got the right team around us. Where if we see a product or something goes wrong or whatever, we don't just go, oh, we'll just replace it with something more expensive or with a new one or whatever. It's we'll go home and we come back the next day and we'll sit down for a coffee in the morning and discuss what we found and how we're all going to learn from it and move forward. It's constantly moving thing, and you know, we're not just here to count money at the end of the day. We're here to further our own knowledge as well as providing the best possible service for customers and at the end of the day being proud of what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
Did you guys ever work in a main dealer before opening the company? No.
No.
I'm more than happy to say that.
Yeah, other than a week's work experience when I was 15, no. I think the main dealer sort of network has its place, and this isn't anything against anyone that works in one. But the reason we're here is because we're exactly the opposite of a dealer. You know, a dealer has to work to the manufacturer's sort of given system, which in many cases is the best, and in those cases will work to those same systems. But a lot of the time, actually, there's more to it, and having a base of knowledge that can help you make that decision between a main dealer who essentially wants to make maximum profit and us who actually just want to deliver the best possible outcome. There's a huge difference, and I'd like to think that shows in our work, especially.
Yeah. I mean,
some of the dealer bits.
I've never really had much experience with main dealers. I've always maintained my own vehicles. I've never bought a new vehicle. Probably never will buy a new vehicle. So yeah, I've not really got a lot of experience, but all I see is the work that's been done by main dealers. And
I would say it's safe to say that we have been unimpressed generally.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because you'd expect more, and it must be annoying because there's a lot of people that think that maybe they have got a lot of pride in their work, and they think that as this question might suggest, that sort of the only path into the motor industry is by going through a main dealer, and I would completely disagree with it.
Definitely.
There are other options. There's lots of independents that will take on passionate people that have got a bit of experience behind them that haven't been through the main dealer network. Yeah,
and I'd say if you are that kind of person that's passionate and interested, then dealer's potentially not the way to go for you. It's everything is, if it's broken, replace it, not think about why it's broken or work on a solution or repair what's there. Yeah. It's just a different world. They're the big machine that makes a load of money, but it's completely the opposite. And I think actually I have to say there's even other BMW specialists that have come from more of a dealer background, and they can be, in my opinion, a bit hit or miss. You either get the guys that are really passionate about what they're doing and don't feel they can carry that passion through the dealer network. They'll even start by themselves and fantastic, and there's plenty of guys that we'd recommend out there that are like that. And then you get other ones that unfortunately haven't sort of taken that step up of understanding why stuff is the way it is and why it's working, and try and still apply those big dealer business kind of morals to what they're doing. And actually, if you're trying to run a small independent that is expected to take a bit more care and have a bit more interest and have that extra knowledge behind it,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty normal in main dealer to have a ramp going to fix the cars that have come out of the workshop the week before and gone wrong because the work hasn't been quite good enough. Or you have that one guy in the workshop that his job is just to fix the balls ups. Well, yeah, if you're a small independent, you can't be sending stuff out the door that's going to go wrong in the first place. You just can't. So you really have to be loving care into it.
Yeah. And I do, we treat. It'd almost be harsh to say we treat everything as our own because we treat it far better than our own.
Yeah.
But every car that comes in, it is someone's pride and joy, and we love kind of furthering that love for them by giving their car the treatment it deserves.
Definitely.
Which is quite a privileged position to be in, to be honest. It's we both love it. We've had a question. It was actually two questions that I quickly scribbled down, and I can't remember who asked them, but about Vanos rattle, particularly on S54s. So Alex actually grabbed some bearing.
I actually found these on Chris's toolbox.
Oh, really?
From a rattle repair he did earlier in the week. But yeah, I thought it ties in pretty nice with that question. S54 rattle. So if you've sort of got that noise in the S54 in your M3, it is a rattle, but it's hard to describe what sort of noise it is. But
yeah, it's a very specific rattle.
Yeah, you'll hear it up front from the Vanos unit. It could be sort of the drive hub on the exhaust cam, but it could also be your spline shaft, and pretty common for us to do complete Vanos overhauls. Or, of course, on the website we sell various kits. So inside so you've got two splined hubs that sit in front of the camshafts, the helical geared. So as they move forward, they can rotate the position of the cams. Inside there, you've got a selection of bearings. Sort of you get this outer race and these bearing shims. In time, you get quite a lot of lateral movement in the sort of spline shafts, which can cause a lot of noise. So Beta do a nice little upgrade kit, which is a new outer ring, some slightly thicker shim plates. Take it all apart with special tools and rebuild it up. But pretty common, whether it's just that. But I mean, normally, if you're going to be looking at doing rattle repair, I definitely recommend doing seal repair at the same time, because the older these engines get, the seals are just getting harder day by day, and you really are losing performance.
And also oil pump disc.
That's the other noise.
Yeah, it spirals as well, because also the upper chain guards snap, and then they can cause noise. There's plenty to it, but your sort of stereotypical Vanos rattle, which is common across quite a few different Vanos units, is those shims, that bearing setup there. I've had a comment from 99 Shake and Bake 99. Guys that work in the workshop, dealers just have to chase book time. Exactly. I hope that's not sort of having taken offence from what we've said. That's what I mean. It's just a completely different environment.
Yeah.
And dealership techs are very different to someone outside. They're very good at what they do, and they, of course, they have transferable skills. But that's just the dealership environment. There are all these systems there to push everyone to be as efficient in terms of time as possible, and that doesn't necessarily relate to the best final product. So, or do we follow anyone on YouTube? That is a good question. Retro Power, yes, that's been suggested, and yes, we do. I think I'm more of a YouTube viewer than you are. I think it's safe to say. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't really watch much YouTube.
Yeah.
I hate most people.
But yeah, I think.
I just get bored so quickly. They just take anything more than about a quarter of a second intro. If it hasn't made a big bang or exploded in the first 5 seconds, I'm gone.
Wow. I used to watch quite a lot of YouTube, and to be honest, I just don't have the time. But I do watch Retro Power, especially their Gordon Murray Escort was mega bit of kit. We both love Project Binky as well.
Yeah, I use it far more for sort of not tutorials, but furthering my knowledge. Like I'd far rather think, let's watch some more videos about TIG welding, torch technique. Let's try and further my welding, or I spend a lot of time watching videos of machines, just crank grinders, like I would say that everything, just because I feel like I get more out of it.
I'd say most people would probably, if they looked at the YouTube history, most general people would die of boredom or think that they're really strange. So. But anything, it is literally anything. I'll watch all sorts of engineering, engine design videos or videos about old Formula One engines and try and learn, or literally you name it. We've been really enjoying. We've mentioned it before, but really enjoying videos about the new Gordon Murray, vehicles. There's sort of two of them, and especially their engines. It's always engines, I think, really. I can't really think of anyone else that I particularly watch. The odd Hoonigan one. They do some really good videos. Some, they're making videos for people to enjoy watching. I like to get more geeky with everything. So, I wouldn't say anyone particularly mainstream.
Yeah. Do you guys use torque plates when boring engine blocks? Yes and no. It really does come down to the engine. Some engines do need it, sort of by having that head bolt sort of done up to factory torque. You do see a bit of block distortion, so it's pretty critical. Sort of open deck stuff like the N54s, definitely recommend boring with a sort of a deck plate on there, because you can, especially with that open bore sort of design, you can see a bit of movement in the top of the bore, which can cause a few issues. So it's definitely needed. For people who don't know what a torque plate is, it's basically sort of a calculated piece of aluminium that you bolt down to replicate the cylinder head being attached to the engine. Obviously, you can't bore the engine with the cylinder head attached because you need to generally come down from the top. So obviously your bed plate's been calculated to give the block the same amount of stresses and strains that a standard head would, but giving you access straight down through the middle to sort of carry out all machining tasks, boring and honing.
MRF Automotive again. I've seen Porsche's 3D printed pistons. Yeah, actually, cool. I've seen a photo of them. I haven't really looked any more into it.
No, I haven't seen any development.
We'll quite often, as we said earlier, we'll quite often sit down for a tea or a coffee in the morning and stick a 5-minute YouTube video about something really specific like that. So maybe that's a good one for tomorrow morning. We all just love furthering knowledge, and also, especially 3D printing is such a new technology in terms of being able to bring it to mainstream actually manufacturing rather than prototyping.
Yeah, I think, it's only going to get easier and easier. I mean, even now, you're never more than 10 miles away from a laser cutter or a CNC plasma cutter. So now you can just drive down the road and they'll cut out a sheet of metal. It's not going to be long before you just drive down the road and get a piston printed. It's pretty exciting times. It'll be interesting as well to see how that opens up. You won't have to have a huge foundry set up in one place. You can start spreading manufacturing across the globe. Hugely interesting. Yeah, and it also means, probably most of the cost of parts aren't going to be in the part in the future. The part's going to be in the design. So you're going to end up, buying a piston design off Fred from Singapore, and he'll send you a file across, and you'll send that to your local printer, and they'll print the part, which will be the cheap part. So design will definitely. There'll be more emphasis on the designers as opposed to the manufacturers, I'd say. Yeah, it could be very interesting. It would be interesting as well to see how far that 3D printing has pushed. I imagine, as I say, I haven't really looked at them, but I imagine there's still a fair bit of machine processing involved. And actually whether 3D printing will evolve to kind of truly be a standalone process, or whether it'll always rely on certain other older fashioned machine processes as time goes on. It's mega. It is mega. Comparing, obviously designing something to be machined, you've got to be able to get into all the spaces with a tool to machine out the pocket or the weight saving. If you can print that, then honeycomb effect or anything like that, you can actually go straight in and you can make stuff so much stronger and so much lighter because you haven't got to worry about getting in there to machine out. Cool. And also you can literally make impossible shapes and things. If you had a set of exhaust manifolds that you couldn't bend a pipe to a certain shape, I think I saw something about 3D printing Inconel the other day, which absolutely blew my mind. Absolutely blow your wallet.
And 3D printed intake manifolds and things like that. like really, really impressive. We've used 3D printing for prototyping stuff. There's a couple of little shifter paddle brackets and stuff out there in the world that were printed by us. But the kind of mainstream manufacturing thing is mad.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. M50 block, back to that torque plate. You'd probably be okay, boring that without a torque plate. Sort of distance from the actual bore, depending on what bore size it is, actually to the head stud, they don't see too much deforming. So as you say, get in touch and we can get you sorted, whether it's a reeve or any head work you need. Let us know what sort of spec build you're going, and we'll happily work with you. Have you ever had a shake and bake? Is that like you get the bag with the seasoning, you put the chicken and the potatoes in the bag and the seasoning, you shake it and you bake it?
Don't know. Clutch, is it worth going single mass and sprung clutch plate over OEM for street track E46 M3? It depends on the setup. If it's a well paired duo, then there's no real drawback, and lighter weight, especially with that S54, the sort of throttle response of it works really well.
Yeah, getting them to pick up a bit quicker is beneficial.
Yeah, but depends on your exact use and what setup you're looking at. Got any more up there? There was one that I saw earlier that we missed. It's probably gone.
Oh, really?
Ducati Racer never gave us any more information about Ducati. Which standalone ECU do you guys recommend for S50? It depends probably on A, budget, B, kind of what use it's getting. If it's turbo or something, then my recommendation will probably be different. But we've got Dave's car outside, which should be running specialist control systems, Delta ECU.
Glad you can remember.
Yeah, SCS. Which it works really well, and it's plug and play as well. So you essentially have an adapter loom that is just a short little stubby bit of wiring that plugs into both the original engine wiring loom and the new ECU. Nice simple data cable, and kind of you're away really.
It was a nice setup.
Yeah, nicely made bit of kit. If you're going turbo, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know how capable the SCS is with. Then if you added map sensors and other bits and bobs like that, and boost control, but I'm sure you probably can do it. Ultimately, electronics are. If you spent more, you could go for a full Motec setup, which would be, or AM or something like that, which would be like infinitely expandable to do whatever you want it to do. So there's horses for courses, as with so many things. But do you dunk biscuits in your tea?
Yes. You don't drink tea.
I don't drink tea. I do dunk biscuits in coffee though. Biscuits. I've had a bit of a dry week actually of biscuits.
Yeah, no one sent us any biscuits. We had one packet turn up in the post from last week's shout out. But
and that person who sent it in got an almighty care package.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They sent us, 2 packets of custard creams, and I think they got the biggest prize hack engineer I've ever given it.
Just subtle hint for anyone
just saying.
Who wants to send us another question from Ryan McCulley, who I think is quite a regular viewer.
I think you'll have to tune in next week for the answer to that one.
Oh,
as we are coming up to the end of our 1 hour slot.
We are. Squeeze that one in quick and then.
Go on then.
Right. We have done, to be honest, we don't tend to. We will get involved in kind of cleaning up casings, stuff like that, arranging everything, making sure everything looks good, getting bits blasted. But the actual differential setup, we leave to Freedom 875cc further up in the generally. So he is a so-called transmission magician. We are so busy with engines and whatnot. It's just not something as yet we'd be looking at bringing in-house.
Yeah, we've got enough engines on our plates.
Yeah,
and definitely want to bring it in house at some point.
Dom's bloody good at it, so why not just leave him to it? To be honest, it's you can try and specialize. You can try and do everything and actually end up specializing in nothing and doing everything to an all right standard. But we'd rather stick to engines, and we know we can get them right, and we know we can always be pushing to specialize even further in them. So that's our plan. TJ is Ducati racer. We're building quite a cool S50 E21 that we supplied a few bits for.
That sounds pretty cool.
And that is our hour up.
That is week 3 or week 4 of the Hack Engineering Wednesday night live stream. So please do tune in next week at 7:45 for more questions. Obviously, get your questions in.
Yeah. One thing I will also quickly mention is we still haven't had that sponsorship from Truffles Bakery.
It's an outrage, Ben. I'm still paying full price for my cheese straws in the morning. I won't stand for any longer. So if anyone knows anyone at Truffles Bakery in Sussex, please put a word in.
Yeah, this closing segment could be theirs if they give you the right price, and that price is donuts.
It is a deal that they can't miss out on.
But yeah, we'll leave it there. Keep your questions coming in on social media for anything you want to ask. If you've got any suggestions for if you wanted us to really have a look at a product, even anything like that, or even make recommendations about products within a certain application, whatever it may be, keep them coming. Please also give this video a like and subscribe, because that really helps us.
Really, we need to get 10 likes. So if you're watching and you haven't liked, please do, so we can get up to the magic 10, because it does help. And we will see you next week. Bye. Every time.